Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Royce and I'm passionate about personal finance. I grew up in a middle class family, so I always held money matters close to my heart. During this COVID-19 lockdown, it was really a rude awakening for me to spend less time on work and more time on personal life. Given my interest in personal finance, I wanted to share more about my ongoing journey, as well as leveraging on this channel as a hobby because work has been so stressful and it gives me something to look forward to outside of work. In today's video, I will share about how I managed to graduate debt-free from a 4-year psychology course in the National University of Singapore, NUS. So this journey started when I was taking a long bus ride home from Victoria Junior College after finishing up my A-levels examinations 9 years ago. As I was a rather introspective person, I was basically asking myself the question, what's next? I was always aiming to get into a psychology course at NUS because the overseas options weren't really practical from a cost perspective. I knew I wasn't going to get stellar grades for my A-levels examination since I was struggling over my preliminary examinations in VJC itself, and thus I wouldn't qualify for any scholarships. Now, financial aid was still a big question mark for me since my sister was going to start working and this would inflate my family's income, making me ineligible for the assistance. So, at the age of 18, I set a goal for myself to graduate debt-free from NUS. I sat down one Sunday afternoon and did my financial planning and budgeting in an Excel file. I researched on NUS school fees and estimated my monthly expenses, which included food, transport, and miscellaneous expenses. I calculated the total amount that I needed to graduate debt-free from a 4-year course in NUS. The amount was $50,000. It's crazy, I know. So let me break down the numbers for you. First, let's look at expenses in a year. It will cost me $8,000 for 1 year's worth of school fees. I then estimated my yearly living expenses to $3,000, which translates into $250 every month. I budget my transport expenses to $50 per month, as I live next to the MRT, which is equivalent to that of a subway station, and NUS has pretty good shuttle bus service from the MRT to campus. All I needed to do was to purchase a student concession card, which cost me $45. I would then take the MRT and commute to most locations and would walk from the train station unless it was essential for me to take a bus. I know it sounds crazy, but it can be done. So for meals, I set aside $100 every month and I told myself nothing more than $5 a meal. The remaining $100 will be spent on my wants, meet up with my friends, or meals with my girlfriend. Now, of course, some of my friends did say before that Royce, this budget is way overkill and absolutely hard to achieve. But I think that if you keep your monthly expenditure within $500, I still think it's pretty reasonable for a student. I factored the additional $1,500 for any miscellaneous expenses in a year. This included purchasing household goods for the family or for accidents. This brings us to a total of $12,500 in a year. You multiply that by 4 and you get a grand amount of $50,000. I then made a rough plan of how I would earn the $50,000 over the course of 6 years. There are two portions to this part of the story, pre-university as well as the during university portion. So before entering university, I would actually spend 2 years in national service. For context, in Singapore, it's mandatory for males to serve 2 years of military service, and I plan to save the majority of my allowance for national service. I got the opportunity to serve as an officer towards the last year of my national service term, and the money weren't too bad to be honest. And towards the end of my military service, I was also offered the opportunity to do a short-term contract and would receive a salary equivalent to that of a regular employee. I was delighted to hear that because that would mean that I would receive close to $3,000 on a monthly basis without any university certs. In total, I saved $15,000 over the span of 2 years in national service. Now, the first year in NUS was quite a struggle to be honest since I haven't studied for the past 2 years, so I relied mostly on my savings to get by and help out my budget. I didn't have any time to look for a job or didn't have any time to work either. So during my first summer break in NUS, I was searching for a job to earn some side income for the following year's school fees. I was asking around if anyone had any job openings, and one of my friends did mention that she was teaching piano to 2 little girls, and their mum was actually looking for a human resource intern. Now, at the moment in time, I think I was still pretty fixated on pursuing a career in clinical psychology. However, I decided to give it a go. Beggars can't really be choosers. And what I did was I actually ended up working part-time for the company for the remaining 3 years in NUS. And what this meant was that it allowed me to earn additional income pretty quickly. Now imagine if I said no, would I still be on track to graduate debt-free? To be honest, I don't know for sure, but I'm really glad I took the opportunity. Towards the end of my second year in NUS, I was contemplating whether I should embark on a student exchange program in the 3rd year. By now, my bank account was practically close to empty. And you might be thinking, Royce, why? This is counterintuitive, right? You don't have enough money, but you're actually thinking of spending more money? Crazy? But let me tell you why. So in Singapore, the bell curve ranking system made education very, very competitive. Imagine that you scored 56 out of 60 for midterms paper. You might be thinking that is pretty good. However, the mean could be 56, and what this would mean that you will get a B. And this was actually what happened to one of my modules. So why not working so hard? So I thought that if I headed on the student exchange program and all I had to do was to pass my modules, I could really invest more time working during my free time, which was spent studying in Singapore. Time was really an opportunity cost for me. I took a look at the list of exchange program universities and applied for locations which had the lowest cost of living than in Singapore. I was eventually offered a program to Tallinn, Estonia, where I had the best 6 months of my life there. But it was also crazy because I left Singapore with only $1,000 in my bank account. I qualified the risk of going broke as rather minimal since I'm always going to be working during my free time. So I would actually get regular income every month. I just needed to get over the fact that I needed to be more frugal in my first month so that I don't starve before my next paycheck comes in. And my gamble eventually paid off because my lessons were conducted over the weekend since I attended a master's course and my classmates needed to work on weekdays. I was basically working from 9 to 6 from Monday to Friday in Estonia. I always joke to my friends that I was probably the only one who made money on the student exchange program, even after paying my rent and living expenses. There's actually another part to this student exchange program story. During a briefing for the student exchange program, I mentioned to the NUS coordinator that I wanted to create a student's guide for an exchange program to Estonia. You might be thinking, Royce, why is it so nice? Why are you offering your help? This is because I felt that there was a genuine lack of familiarity with the country, given that NUS was the only one offering the program in Singapore. I mean, NTU or SMU weren't offering the program at all. Now, 3 months later, when I was in Estonia, I received an email from my exchange university indicating that I've received a scholarship from the European Union. Now, to be honest, I didn't apply for any scholarship, so I thought it was a scam, and I wrote back saying that, didn't apply for this scholarship, did you get the name wrong? And it's really crazy because now internet scams are so frequent, right? You never know if it might be scam. So the following day, the NUS coordinator wrote back to me informing me that she nominated me for this scholarship. And I was really happy because what this meant was it covered my entire student exchange program expenses. I had the opportunity to visit Trolltunga in Norway, which was a lifetime dream of mine. I'm showing you a photo here. Absolutely beautiful country. I recommend all of you to visit Norway if you have the chance. I ended up saving the money that I earned during the 6 months program and I used it to pay off my school fees for the final year of NUS. Now for the last year, I didn't have to worry about my school fees at all, and what this meant for me was that I could now start focusing on growing my income and putting this money into investments. So I'm editing this video. I wanted to share 3 lessons or tips that really benefited me in my journey to graduate debt-free. Lesson number 1, plan ahead. In order to achieve your goal, you need to have a plan. So financial planning and budgeting is the first and most important step in your financial journey if you're looking at retiring early or graduating debt-free. You should definitely look into it, and I'll cover this in a later video. Lesson number 2, give it everything you have. There will be times where you struggle and question why you're doing this and might even contemplate on taking the easy way out, such as applying for a university loan. But always remember why you got started and finish what you started. For me, it was always the importance of graduating debt-free and giving myself the ability not to worry or paying back the bills after graduation. I vividly remember where there were nights before my NUS papers where I was working instead of studying. While my friends were celebrating the end of their exams, I was working. Last lesson, and perhaps the most important one of all, stay positive. If you can't change your circumstances, change how you perceive it. I definitely can't change who my parents were and what kind of family I was born into. And my parents definitely gave me their best and nothing less than that. But rather than blaming my family or my circumstances, I adopted a psychological concept called downward social comparison. I focused on people who are worse off than me and told myself that, look Royce, you have a place to live in and you're privileged enough to pursue a full-time education. Many people don't have that. So whenever I felt bad, I used that thought as a driving force to propel myself forward. I will end today's video with one of my favorite quotes. When you want something in life, all the universe conspires you in helping you to achieve it. So I believe like, in all things in life, if you try your best, you'll be fine. And now I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and see you next time.